Fox is just struggling to hide its unabashed propaganda at this point, just losing all control. Like, let me share with you what they were doing over the past 24 hours. They had two goals. Number one, to sane wash Donald Trump's insane speech at the Economic Club in New York, where he ranted and raved like a lunatic. And number two, downplay Russia's interference with the 2024 election by funneling millions of dollars to right-wing influencers, to media companies, basically serving as a front. So first, let me show you, this is Sandra Smith with Governor Sununu of New Hampshire. This is some North Korean style propaganda right here. Here, play this clip.
And former President Donald Trump, to Charlie's point earlier, he laid out a very detailed message today, not just about his own economic plan, but about Kamala Harris's, in fact, about what we've heard so far and what has been leaked so far.
And then here, Governor Sununu talks about how he was so impressed by all of the specific details Donald Trump talked about in what was a completely unhinged, rambling speech. Here, watch this clip.
Whose plan are you liking, and what really speaks to you in your state? What will work with voters there?
So again, when we talk about the voters, we're talking about that 8 to 10% of swing voters, right? Those are the ones that are still up for play and probably will be through October. It's not the economy, it's cost of living. And those voters are going to be swayed by who is the change agent, right? Who is the individual? Is it Kamala Harris or is it Donald Trump that'll be an agent of change to make my life more affordable? It's not about the number of jobs that created. People have jobs. They just want things to be affordable again, and that's it. And between now and November 5th, the rent comes due, right, on the 1st. The credit card bills keep coming in. The energy bills the electric bills keep coming in. There's a lot of costs American families are going to have, and that's the anxiety, right? Anxiety is what drives someone to go to the voting booth and ask for change. And Americans still have a lot of anxiety, especially with an impending recession, which is very real. And there's no question Donald Trump is always going to be more trusted as someone that's been on the front lines in business, can actually speak to details. Through all the personality challenges that a lot of us know and accept that he has, it's results that people want. Only new results are going to bring the change to kind of lower the temperature in their families and give them more economic freedom. And that's what it's about, not the global economy.
And here again, Fox runs a segment applauding Donald Trump from being policy focused and very specific, which it was the exact opposite of that. And I'll show you that in just a moment. Play the clip.
A different Donald Trump when he's speaking to this Economic Club of New York. It's not a rally. It was very policy oriented. And I think that this version will do well if we see it on Tuesday night, if we see this version of the former president in terms of explaining to people. Some of these ideas are difficult to break down and say, here's why this would matter for you. You know, I know it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to get $25,000 off if I buy a house, right? But it's more nuanced to understand the impact of these things on your bottom line. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to do that.
How do free market policies create jobs is what he said. And he gave an impassioned defense of free market policies. I was impressed.
It was very interesting to watch today. Charlie, thank you. Always good to have you with us. Thanks a lot.
Anytime.
Fortunately, here you have Jessica Tarlov, the only pro-democracy voice on Fox, but she's part of the show called The Five. She's the one pro-democracy voice that gets shouted out by Jesse Waters and Jeanine Pirro and others. And here Jessica Tarlov says, did you hear what Donald Trump was talking about? It made no sense, like when he was trying to talk about childcare and rambled like a maniac. Here, play this clip.
But today was also about Donald Trump's economic speech, and we watched a lot of it. And I would dare any of you to listen to his answer on childcare and tell me what the hell he was talking about. It was one of the more incoherent things I've ever heard. He thinks tariffs are going to pay for everything. We know that they're a tax on the consumer. But this really highlights a big problem that everyone is saying, well, Trump is so transparent and Trump's out there and that's all that matters. What matters is the content of what he's saying. And none of it is explainable. This issue, which is a big priority for people, obviously a central plank of what's going on in the Harris campaign, he doesn't have an answer besides tariffs. And J.D. Vance yesterday was talking about just have grandma and grandpa do more, that's some sort of solution for people. He's going to have energy prices, drill, baby, drill, even though we're producing more oil than we ever have before, leading the world, more tax cuts for the rich. And tariffs are the only way that we're going to be paying for it.
I think tariffs are designed to punish countries who subsidize their products.
But they don't work that way. And
no, for specific countries, they do. Look, I know.
You know what?
I know tariffs.
I've dated tariffs.
So then Fox's other goal, their other agenda, was to downplay Russian interference. So they have Marco Rubio on, and Rubio's like, why is this a big deal? These are these views have already been held by Republicans before. So what's the big deal about Russia amplifying it? Here, play this clip. If anything, the influencers are the victims. Play this clip.
Every one of those stories are real and truthful. Can you explain to me and this audience what that indictment's about?
Okay, so disinformation is something totally different from what they are going after or describing. Disinformation is when you make up things that aren't true and you spread it so people think they're true. In this particular case, we are talking about pre-existing political opinions in the United States. These are pre-existing political opinions that have existed well before any Russian engagement or involvement or what have you. One of the indictments that came out yesterday, it does not allege that these people that they say were being funded by the secret donor that was hiding their true identity, they already had these opinions. They already believed in these things. They legitimately believe in the views that they're espousing. They were victims. They were targets of a fraud in which someone posing as just a regular investor had Russian money behind them.
Then Sean Hannity plays a video clip of Putin, which fits right in with Fox's programming. Here, play this clip.
So yesterday, the DOJ announced that Russia is once again trying to interfere with the presidential election. But Vladimir Putin did actually make an endorsement in the presidential race today. He announced that he is backing Kamala Harris. Take a look.
As for the favorites, there is no need to define that. It's a choice by the people of America in the end. I've said that our so-to-say favorite was the acting president, Mr. Biden. He's been taken out of the race, but he advised all his supporters to support Mrs. Harris. That's what we'll do. We'll support her as well, and that's the first thing. Secondly, her laugh is so expressive and infectious. That means she's doing well.
Clearly talking about her laugh, he's mocking Kamala Harris.
And again, they're trying to normalize all of this. Like, it's just normal for foreign governments to launder money to media front companies to spread disinformation that we've seen in this detailed indictment, that we should all, as Americans, rally around the truth and the facts. Here you have Jeanine Pirro on Fox say that it's actually Democrats who are trying to use this as a pretext for a social media crackdown. Here's what the Democrats are doing. They're lying about Russia to go after social media companies. Here, play this clip.
The fact is that what they're trying to do is they're cultivating the field. Russia now, they're setting up a reason to crack down on social media and free speech before the next election, publicly accusing Russia of a sustained campaign. And if there are bad stories about to break on Kamala, you can be sure they're going to tell you it's Russian disinformation.
Then Jeanine Pirro says it's actually the Democrats who are trying to sow discord right now. It's always projection, accuse the other. Play this clip.
But, you know, people sowing discord, I mean, that's what the Democrats did for 4 years when we were at each other's throats about Russia and whether or not Donald Trump was a Russian plant or a Putin puppet. The Democrats are the ones who sowed the discord.
But this is evidence of what we were talking about actually happening. Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Sowing discord. We assassinated people in blood with bloody coups, Jessica.
And by
You're talking about a website.
Yeah, by the way, why is China buying all the land around the missile sites and the military bases? We're worried about Russia paying someone. Yeah, well, they ought to do a press conference about China.
If it were reversed and a liberal YouTuber was being paid $400,000 a month to talk about...
How about the first family getting paid $20 million?
Yeah, and how many LLCs?
Let's talk about what
let's move to this. Let's move to this. Donald Trump firing up a Hannity town hall in...
Then one of the lines that Jeanine Pirro uses, she goes, look, the only people who are interfering with elections are the Democrats who colluded with the government in 2020 to suppress speech. Donald Trump was in office in 2020. Donald Trump was the government. Biden, Harris were candidates at that time. But play this clip.
Okay, real fast as it relates to Russia. The Russians weren't messing up the election. It was the Americans. It was the Biden-Harris administration. It was bringing in these so-called intelligence agents. It was having the White House and the FBI call and say, suppress any discussion of Hunter Biden.
Hey, I'm Ben Meiselas, one of the co-founders of MeidasTouch. You know, I heard Donald Trump on a podcast the other day once again say that climate change is not real. Let me show you what he said.
The biggest risk today, when I hear these poor fools talking about global warming, they don't call it that anymore. They call it climate change because, some parts of the planet are cooling and warming. It didn't work. So they finally got it right. They just call it climate change.
When Donald Trump said that, it reminded me a lot about what he said about COVID, when he said, like a miracle, it was all going to go away. Play this clip.
It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear. And from our shores, it could get worse before it gets better. It could maybe go away. We'll see what happens. Nobody really knows.
And like a miracle, COVID did not go away. Donald Trump didn't have a plan, and millions of people died. And now Donald Trump claims that the way he handled the COVID situation was a miracle. Here, play this clip.
We did a great job with some unknown disease at the time. Nobody knew what the hell it was. And what we did was a miracle.
I don't want that to be how we deal with climate change at all. Climate change is real. And for me, fundamentally, you can't just say like a miracle, it's going to go away. It doesn't really exist. That's just not the way we can handle things like adults. We owe it to our future generations to get serious. And what I'm showing you right there by Donald Trump is just not serious behavior. In my view, it is disqualifying behavior, but that's just my opinion. I think it's important we talk about climate change. I wanted to share that with you now. Let's go back to the video that we were just watching. Then Jesse Waters says that who really needs to be investigated is Governor Walz. And then he uses like an immature nickname. The Great Walls of China needs to be investigated by the MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives. Play this clip.
Ducks. You could have, if you had a Department of Justice on the right that was weaponized, you could then launch an investigation into the Democrat ticket because Walzy, the Great Walls of China, Tiananmen Tim, he's definitely someone that needs to be investigated, right? I'd look into him. I'd open a counterintelligence investigation. I would totally tap all the phones of Walz and all of his crooked Chinese. I'm not going to go there, but you want me to.
And then the pro-democracy voice on Fox, Jessica Tarlov, tries to bring up the fact that these right-wing influencers were paid like $400,000 a month for like one video per week. And then Jesse Waters like, that sounds good. Maybe I should be paid for that. Here, watch this clip.
Okay. I think that Vladimir Putin wants the guy who stood next to him in Helsinki and says, oh, he didn't do anything. He told me we were just meeting. And he said he didn't interfere in the election at all, even though our own Department of Justice had found that he did. What I find interesting about everyone's analysis thus far on this topic is that you're leaving out the juiciest tidbit, which is that the Russians were paying Tim Pool and Benny Johnson $400,000 a month for a weekly video that would go out to their millions of followers.
$400,000 a month?
Yes, more than Hunter Biden was making.
I'm available too if you want to pay me for that money.
But that's you make a joke out of it, and they have denied that they knew that it was coming from a Russian in that way, but they were getting.
Where did you get that info? Because I thought it was going through. I thought it was going through Lauren Chen. Wasn't it her company?
Well,
and that
it's
it was
that
done,
Tennessee-based company.
And that they hired him as to do something. And
well,
then
they've been doing videos, and these kinds of talking points have been showing up in those videos.
Oh, you mean like talking points like inflation's high?
No, like talking about.
You mean like DEI is bad?
Yeah,
or like
definitely Russian.
Let Russia have Ukraine. It sows discord, which is the point. Mm-hmm. That they want people, first of all, to think that life is completely terrible under the Biden-Harris administration.
Okay, let me ask you.
And again, they're trying to normalize this criminality and act like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, could you imagine if Watergate was covered this way? Oh, people break in all the time. Oh, is the DOJ just trying to weaponize this to go after Nixon? That's what they're doing here. And there used to be objective realities that we can all agree about, but Fox wants to divorce us from that and to keep spreading disinformation. Here, by the way, you have Maria Bartiromo. Again, she knows she's spreading disinformation by showing this photo, of individuals who purport to be Governor Walz's family, but they're really not close family. They're like distant cousins, if anything. Like, they're not really his family, and that's been already demonstrated. But she's like, so are they the family? I don't, maybe just say the facts and say it's another lie and another right-wing op. Play this clip.
Even Walz's family, Democrat vice presidential nominee Tim Walz, in the spotlight now as his family appears to be endorsing Trump. This photo of his family members, extended family, they're wearing shirts that read, Nebraska Walz's for Trump. It's gone viral. Fox News spoke with them, and they said they consider themselves distant relatives of Walz, as they've never met or spoken to him. So are they his family or not?
And then here, Jesse Waters rants and raves about Medicare and how the government's too bloated because of Medicare. And, you know, he's showing his cards here that the MAGA Republicans want Project 2025 to get rid of Medicare. Play this clip.
You start there, but most of the bloat in government is health care. And if you bring RFK Jr. in, we can stop.
But no one has any health care.
We can stop spending all of this money on treating the symptoms. You know, because most of the federal budget is Medicare. So if you go in and you make America healthy again, and you stop the food industry from poisoning the country, and you change our lifestyle, we're not going to have to spend hundreds of billions of dollars treating a sick and unhappy country.
Okay, please, someone cut that into an ad right now. Cut this into a Trump ad to play for seniors, saying, you know what we're going to do? We're going to come after Medicare.
I never said come after Medicare.
Yes, you did. Dana smiling, you did.
I never said come after Medicare. I said you will reduce Medicare spending.
What are you going to do? What are you taking, Jesse? What chickens on treadmills are you taking out of Medicare?
You reduce Medicare spending.
It's the most popular program in the country.
You reduce Medicare spending.
They want to
make people
Medicare
healthy, so they don't need so much health care.
By feeding them vegetables? What do you think RFK is going to do?
Yes, that's a great idea. Instead of chips all day, maybe people exercise and eat some vegetables.
Do something different, kids. All right, we got a Fox News alert.
All right, now I want to just go back very briefly to show you why Fox has to work in overdrive to sane wash Donald Trump's speech. So here, for example, Donald Trump speaking at the Economic Club, he shares what a great thing it is that he was endorsed by Kim Jong-un. Here, play this clip.
And Viktor Orban, a very strong man. He's the Prime Minister of Hungary. He said the only thing missing from the world right now is President Trump. He kept the world safe because everybody was afraid of him. I don't like that term, but that's the term he used. I would like to say respected him and respected our country, but he didn't say that. He said everybody was afraid of him. He said China was afraid, Russia was afraid. They were all afraid. Kim Jong-un, I got along great with him. And I try to explain to the fake news media that getting along with people, foreign countries, is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. It's a smart thing.
And now just listen to this is Donald Trump's answer on how he claims he's going to make child care more affordable. He can't even put a sentence together. Here, play this clip.
If you win in November, can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make child care affordable? And if so, what specific piece of legislation will you advance?
Well, I would do that, and we're sitting down. You know, I was somebody, we had Senator Marco Rubio, and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that, because look, child care is child care. There's something, you have to have it. In this country, you have to have it. But when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels that they're not used to, but they'll get used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into our country. Those numbers are so much bigger than any numbers that we're talking about, including childcare, that it's going to take care. We're going to have, I look forward to having no deficits within a fairly short period of time, coupled with the reductions that I told you about on waste and fraud and all of the other things that are going on in our country. Because I have to stay with childcare. I want to stay with childcare, but those numbers are small relative to the kind of economic numbers that I'm talking about, including growth, but growth also headed up by what the plan is that I just told you about. We're going to be taking in trillions of dollars, and as much as child care is talked about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kind of numbers we'll be taking in. We're going to make this into an incredible country that can afford to take care of its people, and then we'll worry about the rest of the world. Let's help other people. But we're going to take care of our country first. This is about America first. It's about make America great again. We have to do it because right now we're a failing nation. So we'll take care of it. Thank you.
So that's why Fox has to do the job for him. And they need to say, oh, it was great. Here's what you need to, rather than just showing you what he said, which is completely psychotic, like actually psychotic. Anyway, hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million together. Thank you for watching.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.